Welcome to this class on creating a junction in Autodesk AutoCAD Civil 3D. My name's Ian Robinson and I'm the infrastructure consultant for Greytech. I travel around from my base here in the UK helping customers get the most out of their infrastructure design and BIM related software. This includes training, consultancy, presentations, bit of social media. My main focus is on Civil 3D, Map 3D, GIS being my background, InfoWorks, Recap for your point clouds, Navisworks for your federated models and clash detection, and also BIM 360. There are 4 pillars to what we do here at Greytech: create, simulate, fabricate and manage. We work with the Autodesk portfolio and our own Power Pack enhancements to aid the creation of construction and manufacturing deliverables. We then combine this with the use of our simulation products to verify those deliverables. This enables us to drive them through to the fabrication process, and we then manage them deliverables. And with our CDE products, which link to internal and external platforms. This class is in the create phase of the project using Civil 3D, in particular Junction design. All roads need to join to something, whether it's another new road to an existing road, or whether it's 2 new roads. It's usually a T-junction or a crossroads or a roundabout. But in this class we're going to be concentrating on T-junctions. The plan. We're going to do these 2 junctions here. This is an existing road, and what we have, all we have, is some 3D polylines that describe the existing road directly from the surveyor. These 2 are new roads. We've already designed the horizontal alignment but not the vertical, and for full disclosure I've already designed the assemblies. The first junction that we're going to do here, that needs to tie into an existing road. This is a manual process traditionally, but there's loads of tools to automate some of these things. For this junction we'll do, with the being 2 new roads, we're going to use the Junction Wizard to automate building the corridor for us. So we haven't got a lot of time, let's jump straight in and have a look. Here we are in Civil 3D, and all I've got from the surveyor is polylines, 3D polylines. That's all we've got. There's the surface, and we've got some alignments. You'll see there, new road 1, new road 2, and on these we don't have any vertical design. And then over here we have our assemblies, and this is what we're going to get to. So we want to have a 3D corridor like so. Okay, job number 1. For some time now we don't have to have an alignment and a profile to do a corridor, so we could do the existing conditions first, because I need to get something here to tie in this road to. So if I create a corridor on that line there, targeting these left and right channels, then we can put a surface on that corridor and target that. So let's do that. You need a feature line, don't you? So if we do create feature line from objects, and we're going to convert this center line here into a feature line. I don't need to put it on a site. Naming it's useful, because if I end up with a whole load of feature lines later on in this process, then I'll know which one this is, and I'll just call it existing center line, like so. We could put it on a particular type, couldn't we? But if I do put it on, I mean, there is one for a crown, for example, which will look very nice now, but of course it's just going to be a duplication of what we've got. I'll put it on there anyway. We can erase the existing, you don't have to, but we're going to. And don't assign elevations. If it is 3D, don't assign elevations, because that will potentially change them. So we'll hit OK. So that's now a feature line, gives me everything I need. All I need to do then is go straight and build the corridor. So I'll just call this one New Junction. We'll use feature line, because I named it, I know I'm getting the right feature line here. And then we'll pick the assembly, which is the existing road, and we'll target the surface. I usually leave that till the end, to be fair, but I'll put it on. The key thing here is that I set my targets for the carriageway on the right to target a feature line, or a polyline should I say. Now I do know this drives from left to right, so the right hand side is the southern one, and then carriageway on the left, select from drawing, that is the northern one. Okay, and we need to do that vertically as well, because obviously the surveyor hasn't necessarily these roads aren't necessarily a nice smooth road. They might be a bit wibbly wobbly. So I'll pick the, I've forgotten which one I did now. Was that the right? We'll find out in a second. Yes, it was. And then the left. Okay. We don't need to do frequency because it will put one at every geometry point. And each geometry point is where the surveyor has put a point. He's put the point in and joined them together with lines. So we don't need to worry about frequency. It'll just put it at whatever the surveyor has told us. So we'll rebuild the corridor. And there it is. And if we just view it in 3D, always just check it in 3D, because you never know. The surveyor might have one dubious point there. Okay, so we've built the existing conditions. We now need to put a surface on that. So I'll just add a corridor surface. I don't actually need to see the surface, so I can change it to a style that's not visible. For the sake of the training though, or for the sake of the class should I say, let's just leave it on triangulation so you can see what comes in. We'll just add the top links, and ideally we should add some feature lines just to make sure it's nice and neat. I'll add the obvious ones: the crown, the lane, which is the channel line, the top of the curb, and the back of the curb. Everything beyond there, I'm not bothered about. Okay, so I'll add that in as well. And I'll put a boundary in as well. Corridor extents as a boundary because it goes around a corner, so we don't want it to triangulate across the edge. So what we should have here is some nice clean channel lines in a surface that we can set to target, which we have. So I'm going to target this point here and this point here where the junction is. So I don't need to see the surface. I was confident it was going to happen, but I wanted you to see it. We'll worry about removing the footpath and everything later on. So the next job is to take this road and do a profile from it. So that's road 1, and we're going to add in the survey and add in the junction surface and just change the style of the junction surface just so it looks different, and we'll draw it and we'll create a profile view. I'll plonk it there, and that is my existing road. Okay, so that's my tie-in. So let's design our vertical design. Somehow we're on a minus slope here, and we've got to get all the way up to here. So it might be a bit steep, but let's not worry about the engineering side of it. This class is on how to design in 3D, not engineer. So we'll just go with the standard, and I'll just draw straight lines for now. It's much easier just to draw straight lines to tie in. Then we need to somehow get back up here, so I'll take it to that point and then I'll take it to the end. Now at this point, obviously I'm going to probably, the front valance of my Ferrari is going to probably get a bit damaged, so we probably want to put a vertical curve in there. Oh, I wish it was a Ferrari. We'll plonk it over there. So we're still tying in, and then we can put some vertical curves in. It's a bit steep, but we'll worry about that in a minute. So I'll put a vertical parabola in. We'll just put some small K's in there. We'll worry about them later. It's quite often easier just to stick them in by length, like so. And then, yeah, it's probably a little bit steep. So what I'm going to do is these grips here, if you're not aware, the one on the right will maintain the grade on the left, and the one on the left will maintain the grade on the right. So they're really useful. I can just pull that right back over there, and you can see I've dropped down that slope quite dramatically. But before I do anything, let's just have a look at, press the right button, Ian. They've changed the symbols, haven't they? Let's have a look at what sort of lengths we've got. So if you're working to length, shut that down, don't need it. If you're working to length, you can just type it in, or if you're working to specific K values, you could just type them in. Oh, couldn't get that one in because it's too close to the end there. So if I did want to get a 5 in, I just need to pull it across, stick a 5 in, and then redo that one. So you can spend some time obviously designing it vertically. The key thing is I'm tied in. And for those of you that are not used to working in Civil 3D, that's a 5 times vertical exaggeration. So if you wanted to see what it looks like in the real world, you can change it to natural scale. It's not that dramatic, is it? But it's easier to design on a vertical exaggeration. Let's put that back. Okay, so we've designed our vertical design on here. Let's worry about this one later. I'm not going to do this one yet. We'll worry about that in a minute. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to extract an alignment along here, and that will give us something to tie into. If I select the corridor, now you need to select the correct feature line that you want to extract from the corridor, and you'll see in the launchpad on the right hand side that they have extra tools. There's kind of shortcuts, if you like, to other objects, other tools that you can get to elsewhere in the ribbon. And you'll see I can extract feature lines from corridors, alignment from corridors, profiles from corridor points, and polylines from corridors. I want an alignment. It's saying select the corridor feature line. I'm going to pick this one here, and I'm just going to call this one existing, if I can get it right, existing channel line. We'll do it as an offset, that's fine. Geometry points, symbols only. It will get it to automatically create a profile, which will be excellent. So it means if we change something later on, the profile will come with it. And we'll just go with that. So that is our horizontal right hand channel. It's saying, do you want to do another one? The answer is no, so I'll hit enter. If you have a look in the alignment, you should see there's an offset alignment now. There it is, existing channel line, and it's got elevations on it as well, which will be based off the feature line elevations. Let's go and make a gap now in this corridor. And I know a lot of you go in here and you can go in and right click and you can change these values, and you can right click and do insert region after, insert region before, and all that business. It's a lot easier if you have a look at these modify regions area here, because there's loads of shortcuts to other tools. So if I wanted to, for example, put a different assembly in this section here, it'd be a lot easier to split the region and then put the new assembly in it, because it will maintain all of the targets. So I don't have to go and set targets 3 or 4 times. So if I do split region, there's only one, so I'll pick it. And I've no idea where that bell mouse is going to be, so I'm just going to over egg it, put it over here, say. And then I'll split this region that it's made, and again I'll over egg it, I'll stick it over here. And then I'm done. So all I need to do now, you can see I've just created a copy of these, and all the targets are done. So you know that middle one, all the targets are done. It might be worth renaming at this point, so I'll call this one West. I'll call that one East. Oh, it does that, doesn't it, when you move your mouse slightly? East. And this one, I'm just going to stick a different assembly in it. So if we look, existing road, junction on the right, I've called it, and it will rename that there, junction on the right, for me. And all the targets are set and everything's hunky-dory, so we'll just rebuild. And we've just left a gap, ready to put our junction in. Now, the next job is to select our new road, and we want to have offset on the left and on the right. Mental note there, it starts 0 here. So my left is actually going to be on the right as we look at it, and the right will be on the left as we look at it. Again, we'll use the launch pad, so we'll use these offset alignments. Saves us going back to the home tab and finding the tool. So I'll use offset alignments, and it'll do one on the left, one on the right. I'm happy with that, and we'll set that to 2.75 and 2.75. It'll do on the offsets, geometry point symbols only, with no widening. We'll do, and we can also create the profile at the same time. And again, this is really important, because if you create the profile, any changes will automatically update, which is really useful. We're going to do the crossfall. Note it'll only do a single crossfall. You can't set crossfall for left and crossfall for right. So what that does mean is if we're going to have a single crossfall on this road and you wanted to use this method, just simply set 0 on there and put it at the crossfall you want, and then repeat command and set 0 on that side, and then do your crossfall on the opposite. So it can be done, but we'll just go with that. And there they are. And again, if we have a look at our offsets, you'll see I've got offset left to offset right, and they all have profiles, so they have their levels set. Now what I want to do is I want to connect this alignment to this alignment. Basically, I want to do a fillet, don't I, in here. And it must be noted that this works obviously with a single fillet. If you're going to use a curb return that has multiple radii, then you would just draw that as you would normally. A lot of people would do it in AutoCAD and then convert it to a polyline. But if you are doing a single radius, this is a really good tool. We can select the alignment in here. Let me just escape because I've got more than one thing selected. Select the alignment, go to the launch pad again, and you've got widenings and offsets and all the usual stuff, and we've also got this connected alignment, and it says select the second alignment, so I'm going to select that one. Select a position, I want to place it on that side, and we'll accept that. Okay, and this is going to be my curb return, but it's going to be on the right, even though it looks like it's on the left, because I'm going from north to south. So I'll just call it KR right. I'll put a radius in there of 10, and we're going to put an overlap of 5 meters. There's often a debate whether that's necessary. It isn't really necessary for this exercise. However, I like to have a straight section at the end of my connected alignment, so that if I do want to manually adjust it later, I have 2 points on the profile that allows me to create a tangential connection. So I'll put a 5 meter one and make a mental note of that, 5 meters. We don't need anything more than symbols, so we'll just hit OK. And there we are. Now if we have a look at our corner radius area, there we are, KR right. And in there, it's also added a profile. I didn't show you that, but I'll show you on this next one. Now if I'm going to use the same curve return, this has gone in this direction because I picked this one first and this one second. Okay, so it's gone from the first one to the second one. So that's 0 here, and then it goes down to whatever it wants. Now if I want to use the same curve return, I need to reverse that the other way around. So I'll select that alignment first, do connected alignment, select the connected alignment, select the place you'd like to put it to, enter. I'll call this one KR left, and again we'll do a 10 meter radius with a 5 meter overlap. Now the bit I didn't show in the last bit is this connected profile. It does it automatically unless you go in and uncheck it by default. And the one thing you can do is you can go in here and I can choose a different style if I wanted to. There's a contrasting one there, but I can also put vertical curves in there if I could. Often you don't, because they just straight line it on in the real world when they're building these things. But if you want to try and put a short curve in there, you can, and it will. If it'll fit it, it'll put it in, but if it can't fit it, it'll ignore it. So I'll just put a small one in. We might be able to have a look and see what it's done. And again, we've now got our curve return left in here now, and you'll see I've got a vertical on there as well. Now let's just have a look at them. First things first, let's just create a surface profile for our new road. The offset left for the new road. and I'm going to add in the survey. Okay, and I'll create the profile. You can see it matches this profile here, but it's got that 2.5% slope on it. Watch what happens if I move it. See the one below moving with it? So any change on the central profile, it's going to automatically update the offset profile, which is what you want really. You want a level of it being dynamic. Similarly, if I was to do a profile, surface profile, and pick curb return left and add the survey in and draw that, okay, it did manage to get them little curves in. So it's got a little curve in there, but that's the vertical design tying in. Now watch what happens if I pick, I'll do that one, move out, zoom down. You see it update down here? Keep one eye on that one. And I'll put it back, I'll put it near, move it up, and it moves up as well. So it's all fully updating. So although we're using a manual method and we've got a little bit more control over it, the level of it being dynamic is still there. Okay, now we can pull these back to these dumbbells here. That's the tie-in dumbbell, this one here, and that's the 5 meter dumbbell. The grips on here are quite useful. Again, if you've not used the grips on the corridor, of course we could always go into here, can't we, and go and say, right, this one here, I want it to finish at this chainage or whatever. You know, that is an option. But these grips, these two grips here will move. So this one on the right will move the region on the right and leave a big gap. This one on the left will move the region on the left and leave a big gap. And this one here will adjust both at the same time. So that's my tie-in point. And then I'll do the same on the other side, pick that one, and that dumbbell is my tie-in point on here. Oh, it might be that one actually. I think it is that one. We can find out if it's that one by picking it. You can see it picks that one as well. So that one will be there. Excellent. Okay, we're ready to start modelling our corridor. Now we can do it all in one corridor, or you can do it in multiple corridors. So you can leave that as a corridor and then just create a new corridor, or we can go in here and we can just keep adding baselines. So I'm going to do it in one corridor. It's an alignment and a profile. I'm going to use the curb return left as the baseline. There's that profile in there, curb left. And we'll add a region, and we'll use our curb return assembly. If you want to know what that looks like, it's there. Okay, so that's the baseline is going to sit on that curb return, that arced curb return alignment, and the right hand side is going to target the crown of the new road. And then it's going to target the channel of the existing road. We don't need to start at 0. Remember, we put a 5 meter overlap on it. And we don't need to finish at the end because of that 5 meter overlap. So I'll drop it by 5 meters. Frequency, just on the curve increment, because it's one big arc, isn't it? So I'll just set it to every 1 meter. Now there is an additional point we need, but I'm going to ignore that for now. And then the targets, we need to set the carriageway on the right to target an alignment, and it will target the existing channel line first, and then it will target the new road centre line second. And you need to do it vertically as well. So back to profile, so existing channel profile. and also the new road design that we did. Okay, I'll just build it so you can see what it's done. So we've added that curb return in there. Now there'll be a little gap here because that 1 metre doesn't necessarily hit that point. We'll deal with that at the end. Let's just carry on. Add a new baseline, and this time it is curb return right. Pick the profile, it's already in there. Add a region. Curb return. We can use the same one because we reversed the selection, didn't we, when we selected the alignments. Knock 5 metres off the end and add 5 metres to the beginning, so that's 19. Oh, it does that, you type it in and it doesn't accept it first time, so you do it again and it does. Note that. We only need to do the curve increment because it's only an arc, and we'll set the targets. So the lane on the right needs to target the same things as it did before. Similar with the vertical, so existing channel line 1 and my new road VP1. We'll rebuild it and we're going to check it in 3D. Make sure nothing bad has happened. There's that hole in the middle. We'll worry about that at the end. Let's just carry on. Also, I've not bothered doing the earthworks as well. We'll cover that at the end as well. So we'll go back into the corridor properties. There's this section here. You need a half section in here so that they match up, so that they're perpendicular at this point. So we've got an assembly which is a half section. So we need to add a new baseline. And this new baseline is our new road 1. Make sure you pick your profile. Add a region. And it'll be our half section. So we've got our new road half section right. Trying to work out why I've got 2 in there. Let's not worry about it. Half section right. It's on the left because we're going from north to south, so it is a right hand section. Okay, we need to work out the starting point. So it wants to start at this dumbbell and it wants to finish at this dumbbell here. And we'll drop the frequency, oh, not target, we'll drop the frequency to 1 metre. Just on straights because there's no curve at this point. And that just fills that gap in for us nicely. Now, to do this section here, it's much simpler these days. Just add a section. Select your baseline, so I'm going to select there, and we need to add a section in at that one. And then do the other baseline. You can pick it in the command line. You don't have to go in and out of commands. Okay, so it's going to add a section that joins at that point. And there we are, tying into an existing road. Beautiful. Next, we're going to tackle this junction here. Now, I need a profile on here. Now, if I'm going to use the junction wizard, I don't need to worry about the tie-in. It's going to do that bit for me. So I'm just going to roughly put a profile in, and then we can tidy up later. So, surface profile of road 2. Just add in the survey, create it, draw it. So let's do road 2 now. So that's what that looks like, typical, going through a right big lump there. Profile creation tools, and okay. And again, just draw a straight to start with. Now I'm going to tie in here, I'm guessing that that won't be far out, I'm not sure. So I'm just going to pull it straight across here and then down to here. I'd like it fairly close to it, but we'll let the software worry about it, and then we'll come back to the profile at the end. And we'll deal with that at the end. So let's go back in here. I'm just going to move this over to there, and we're going to use the junction wizard. So we'll go into junctions. By the way, if your software says intersections there, that'll be because you've got the American English version installed. Mine says junctions because when I went to go to the download, instead of downloading English, which is American English, I downloaded the British English version. So it's got all the British English words, if you like. I mean, junction, intersection, it doesn't really matter. Functionally though, as long as you're using the UKIE country kit, it really doesn't matter. It's just the odd word here and there. For example, you'll see the word station instead of chainage if you're using the American English. But if you're using the country kit, all the labels will say chainage regardless of which version you're using. So I'm going to create a junction. I'm going to use this one here, this point here. When you're doing a T-junction, it doesn't ask for which is the primary road. The one that crosses is always the primary road. So here's our first question. Do you want your primary road crown maintained, or do you want them to just match at one point? And in this case, no, I want to maintain the primary road. And I think all software should be written like this. You can see here, it's going to tie in at the crown and at the channels. Whereas if I do all crowns maintained, it's only going to tie in at the crown. So it's showing you exactly what it's going to do, which is brilliant. Let's do next. We've got our two profiles set up here. Need to make sure they're correct. And we'll just go in and set up our offset parameters. Now, all of these defaults can be stored in your template settings. So you don't have to put up with the defaults that come out the box. If you're doing a housing estate with all junctions, all roads that are 275 wide, rather than having to type it in 10 times for 10 different junctions, go into your settings and change it there. So I've done that. But for my primary road, I've already got an alignment, haven't I? Here. So my left offset alignment, I'm going to use an existing. And I need to pick the alignment, which is my offset left to new road 1. And my offset right, I'm going to say yes. And I'm going to pick my alignment offset right to new road 1. So it's going to automatically pick that line there. It's not going to draw another one on top of it. That's a mistake a lot of people make. For the side road, this road here, I'd need new alignments. So it's going to create them for me. Note the preview down here as well, which is great. Okay. Now, if you're going to use an assembly that is wider than 275, then you need to tick that box there, and it will create new alignments all the way down to the end of the road, and it will target them alignments. So hit OK. Now we can do our corner radius parameters. You can see here it's showing you which one it's talking about. I'm going to leave it at 6 meters for both of them. So it's going to be a 6 meter radius. But you can change that, and you can add widening turns in and stuff like that. Lane crossfall parameters. So again, on the existing road, on the road 1 offsets, I'm going to use the existing profiles. So I'll say yes to that. I'll pick the profile name, which is offset left to new road. What am I doing? Am I doing the left or the right? Left edge. Offset left to new road. And I'm going to use an existing profile for the right hand side, and that will be offset right to new road. And then I'll get it to automatically make these ones for me. This time though, when you're using the junction wizard, if you're having a single crossfall on it, this site's fairly flat where I'm working here, isn't it? No, it's got a bit of a slope, but it's got a forward and reverse fall, not a side fall. But I can change it here so I can have a single crossfall if I wanted. So I'll stick with that. The corner radius profile parameters, it actually shows you what it's going to do. It's just going to straight line them in here. So it's going to take the vertical here on the existing on road 1, and it's going to join it to vertical 2 on to the vertical on road 2 offset. So I'll just accept that. Go next. Do you want to create a new corridor or add it to the existing? I'm going to add it to the existing. Be slightly careful here because you could end up with one really big corridor, and the bigger it is, the harder it is to manage. But for something as small as this, that's fine. We'll get it to day like that. Now in here you can create your own assembly sets. Out of the box, if you've got the UKIE installed, there is a UKIE version. If I go browse, and you can see I've got the American version, one in metric and one in left side of the road and one right side of the road. Go up one level, there is a UK one there. And what that will do is that will load in all the assemblies for the UK, which is perfect. But in our case here, we've got our own assemblies, haven't we? So you can add your own assemblies in here. So you can see here, curb return fillets. Yes, I know it's American, but and yes, I know I've installed the British English version. You get the odd one that slips through the net, but I'm not worried about it because it works whichever. What I like, all software should be written like this. I love this. When I select something here, it tells me where it's going to go in the corridor and what it looks like, roughly what it looks like. It's not an exact image. And that's the baseline. So that will show me on each of these where they go in the corridor and which assemblies I should use. So it makes life a lot easier, doesn't it? So I'm putting my curb return there on the primary road full section. This is my new road, so 5.5. And then my primary road, it's got daylight left and daylight right. This is where it goes across the junction, so you don't want a curb on one side, left or right. It doesn't know at this stage which way round the junction is. I do. I know that the junction is on the left, so I could actually ignore that one. You see it says daylight left, so junction right. I've called mine junction right. But because I might be going to do another one later on, I'm going to put the right hand one in as well. So junction right, daylight left, junction left, daylight right. Okay, and then my secondary road full section in this case is going to be the same. And then you remember that half section we put in where it wasn't perpendicular, which is fine. So my secondary road half section left and my secondary road half section right. So these are just the assemblies that are in there. Now the beauty here is you can do save set as. And you can see I've already put one in here. I've done that on purpose because I just wanted to show you that if I edit it. What it does is it creates an XML document, and if we have a look here where that main road junction is, it's going to call it primary road full section blah de blah de blah, but it does this. It creates that DWG and it does it for each of the sections and stores it in your program data folder. So you could remember that and then save that when you update your software. It's also persistent then throughout each of your future drawings. That assembly set will be there for you and you can just pick it in the list. So that's quite useful, that. And I think we're all there, aren't we? Let's just one last check. Yep. Let it create the junction. And there it is. Beautiful. Let's just check it in 3D. That looks nice. All nicely done. It's tied in at this point here and at this point here. We'll fill the gaps in a second, don't worry about them. Now, of course, I didn't set these levels here, so the software will have automatically set the level of the profile on this road here. So I need to go and check it. It will have had to have moved it. So let's go and have a look at the profile, and that's what it's done. You can see it's locked it here, which is the crown of road 1, and it's locked it at the channel of road 1. I need to then put some vertical curves in. You can see it's put an extra point in, it's removed a curve. So we need to edit it. So I'll just go into the geometry editor. Now, before I move anything here, I'll lose the position of that channel line. So I'm just going to draw a line there so I know where it is. And then I can unlock that, click on it and unlock, and then I can move that over, and this point here, probably just get rid of that and then lift it here. So I just need to put my vertical curve in. 1, 2, click, click, check the data, always check the data. Nice round numbers we like, don't we? We don't like these weird numbers. And then I can get rid of that and just make sure I've got nothing else selected. Oh, and one other thing I can do, I can relock that VPI there. So that's now relocked. There's my design. Go back to here. Remember, because I've done a change on the vertical design, I'm going to need to update the corridor, so I'll just do that now. And then we'll just join the dots. Join that to that. Oh, I must remember to do the earthworks, because the earthworks isn't being done round here. We'll do that in a minute. Just drag that to the end. And drag that to the end. Let's get them earthworks done. The easiest way, you can do edit targets, but then it'll ask you a region. I'm just going to go straight in here in my corridor properties and set all targets, and there's 3 there that I haven't set, so I click here to set all, hit OK, and rebuild, and it will do the earthworks all the way around. There we go. Let's change the code set style to plan view. Oops. And object view it now. There we are, much lighter weight. And there's our 2 junctions. Perfect. We could tidy up a little bit, like get rid of the extensions here. We don't need to get rid of the alignment totally, although you could just change it, couldn't you, to a style that's not visible. So there is a style in here called no display if you don't want to see them, which is fine. Or in here you can put some masking on it, and all that does is you just put a start point. It doesn't have to be at the start at this stage, because there's a little tick box in a minute. I can just tick lock to start, and that will hide just at that area there. Oh, forget that. And then here, do the same on that one, just to be pedantic. And lock it to the start. And there we are. So that's it, about time now. We can move on to any questions. So if anybody has any questions, now is the time.